deciding where to go and where to take my bike this weekend is always quite a difficult thing to do. I've got the opportunity to actually have a road bike and a gravel bike, so I'm always deciding. So the first choice is obviously the road bike, where you can just put up pure speed and power. The experience, the thrills, is actually you nurturing the experience, because you get past, stomp on the power, show yourself, and maybe show others just how strong you are. And I quite like the climbs and the hills. I'm quite light, so sometimes people don't like it if I'm creating the route, because I'm always gonna try to add those hills to get that thrill. I want to show my power there, I want to show my improvements over there. But what about gravel bikes? But then you've got also the gravel bike. Look at these thicker tires and gravelly and knobbly bits. In this, when you choose a gravel bike, it's actually nature who's gonna give you the thrill of the experience when you ride, because it is tough. I'm still quite new to gravel bike compared to road bike, and we've done some bike packing adventures before in Spain. Hola, mi amo es Stefan. There's a thrill because when you're going uphill on these very loose rocks or even grass, it's just so much fun to actually be kind of scared that you might actually fall down. And especially when you're going downhill on very rocky roads, there's that thrill as well, because none of this is about my strength, my power. It's all about my technical ability to hold myself up. And that's the whole challenge. It's really just trying to hold yourself up with gravel. So that's why gravel can be so much fun. It's just quite difficult to access when you're in London. There's just not as many opportunities unless you're willing to pay a little bit more. And of course, there's also this other part where it's the path. You follow paths less traveled. So gravel, obviously there's that nice piece of going through the forest. And whenever you access any nice areas, it's areas that are void of any cars, and most likely a lot of people as well. And the scenery is just great. So let's say I passed that dilemma of choosing my gravel bike or my road bike. The next step is pretty much the route building. And I have two main things that kind of influences my decision at the very end. It's whether or not I want to choose to explore the unexplored, or I want to actually redo a route because I want to just prove to myself I got stronger. So that's kind of it's pretty much the main thing. So typically, I think a lot of people would go on Komoot, but I actually go on Strava to do this, because that's where I can actually see areas I have not explored. So let's look into it a bit more. If you go on Strava Maps, let's just choose all sports. And let's choose my heat map. You can kind of see, this is London, and this is everything that's in orange is basically what I've explored. And what you're going to notice quite quickly is how deeper orange, or even red, is from the central area to the east side and to the southeast side, because that's where I live. I live near to that area. And northern area is actually pretty decent, but northwest completely unexplored, and the lines to the west or southwest is a little bit more pale, because I live quite far away. It takes so much time to actually beat London traffic and then finally get out to the countryside. So if I had any recommendations, when I come to actually route building, there's the east side, which is very easy to access and has a lot of forests, and it's relatively flat. So if you ever want to go with a group ride, that's where I tend to go to explore different areas, because it's a bit more flat compared to the rest. But if you look a bit closer to the southeast side, that's actually my preferred area. That is my territory, I find, because it has a lot of more hills. When you're going to Biggin Hill, you can see the hilliest part of it, and past it towards Seven Oaks. That's where I actually like to go the most, because I like to attack the hills and I like to show I'm a bit stronger. So that's whenever I create those routes. I've been to Richmond Park maybe a few times and done a lot of the loops, but it's not really to me worth it because I have to literally cycle 25 kilometers, which can take me an hour, and coming back that's another hour, and 50k added to that. It's not exactly fun, even though I take the cycle highway. If you ever travel west, definitely take the cycle highway because it has a lot fewer people and it's easier to cut through. And yeah, you can kind of see as well, Box Hill, I've been, but not my kind of favorite place to go to. It's just too much to actually beat the whole London traffic before you're in the countryside. It's a little bit different for gravel rides. Whether I want to explore new areas or even redo some routes I want to redo. It's a lot harder, and I'll give you a reason why. Go back to your Strava maps. You choose gravel ride. If you actually choose the weekly and global heat map, now that you can actually filter from that point of view, just the gravel rides, you're going to notice there's only a few pockets, at least in London, that you can access. So like, I know it says you can go to the southeast side for some gravel routes, but it's actually not that great. There's not enough single track or gravelly path you can go on. You have to hit a lot of road before you actually hit some of these gravel paths, which is not very long. Surrey, actually, around Box Hill, that actually has a very good concentration of gravel routes. It does tend to be broken apart. You know, you have to always go back a little bit on the road before you hit the gravel path, but overall, it's very good. And you know, if I don't want to cycle all the way there, I get to Waterloo, not very expensive tickets, maybe about £20 return trip, and boom, I get direct access to a lot of the gravel paths. But really, if you really want to get a good one, it's hard to actually justify the money. That's the actual issue. It's actually down the South Downs Way, which I want to redo and actually complete because it's actually a very long route. And it's basically somewhere around here. You can actually start from Winchester, cross all the way through, and the scenery is amazing. It's super peaceful, and like I said with gravel bike, it's the nature that gives you the thrills, and their roads are, their gravel paths are quite tricky to do because there's a lot of elevation with a lot of loose rocks. And likewise, as you're going down, also a lot of loose rocks. So that's also quite fun. But yeah, that's essentially how I start to look at whether it's unexplored and whether or not it's something I want to redo. And I probably should have added that the third factor is probably if I have to pay for the train, because it could get quite expensive. So yeah, this is the kind of dilemma that happens every weekend on what I actually want to do and which bike and which route most of the times. And yeah, this is kind of my first video on YouTube, really more properly getting to the cycling point of view. And really, I know there's probably not going to be actually a lot of views. Actually, there probably could only be 2 views in this video, but I'll be quite interested in knowing how you decide how you create your route. And if not, you'd also do road bike and gravel bike, because if you're actually in London, and you also have to decide this quite often, but you've found some really cool things that you can share with other people, that'll be quite useful. I want to make use of it more because yeah, I don't want to spend too much money on the train tickets. I want to actually figure out new areas I've never been, whether on road or gravel bike. And yeah, if there's some challenges even that you've been doing, I'd like to try it out because you know, I want to get stronger and I like challenges. So yeah, first video into the YouTube space, more properly on cycling, and hopefully you'll see more. Bye-bye.